of interest with items on the agenda here tonight? All right. Move on to our election of officers. As you can see, 23 officers. We'll go to chairman, vice chairman, the chair pro tem, or then all at once. So I won't take a motion. Where the other, I guess.
I would move that we return the slate of officers, assuming they're all interested in those positions. I think they've all done an exemplary job, particularly Mr. Black and his role as chair pro tem. But my motion would be to replace the slate of officers, or to put the slate of officers as the same parties that were here last year.
Is there support? Support that. All right. Any other nominations? All right, if not, move on to a vote on that. All those in favor of the same slate of officers as 2023, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate the trust.
Thank you.
Next up, we have committee appointments by chair, Housing Action Committee, Parks and Rec. I believe Commissioner Lawler, you were on the Housing Action Committee. I'm assuming you want to continue that role.
I'd be happy to.
Okay. And Mr. Reader, I know I didn't ask you before, but I'm assuming you're good with continuing on Parks and Rec?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we'll leave those as is, I guess. Next up, we got our annual review of bylaws, as you see on pages 2 through 9. I think red line I see in there with the date towards the end. Other than that, did everybody have a chance to review it? Are there any questions or clarifications or changes, I guess, that members here would like changed in any way? Nixon?
Just a couple of grammatic issues, nothing of content. Under special meetings, and it's something for staff to consider. Being a one-time old English teacher, I'm aware that how often commas can get us inserted. And I think the meaning comes off differently if you read that first sentence. The commission shall convene for the purpose of holding special meetings only upon the written request to staff from the chairperson or by 2 members, specifying the time, date. I would submit you ought to get rid of that first comma after the word staff, so it reads more clearly. Meetings only upon the written request to staff from the chairperson or from 2 members. I think that is the intent. And that same grammatical change would be suggested under C, or equally it has that same sentence and the same comma comes after the word staff. And the second thing I would note is under section 4.2 public notice. Certainly nothing absolutely wrong with what's written there. It's just in the second sentence when I read that, being from an old school again, displayed in the principal office in the building, in the public building. Principal is used here properly because it means the main office. But I familiarity think of it as the principal's office. And I'm wondering, after all these years, that we couldn't just for the public's sake identify exactly which office that is. If it's the planning office, if it's the office of the administrator, if it's an office in this building, rather than just saying the principal office, it leaves one wondering, well, what is the main office that they're posting this announcement in? Those are my only suggestions.
That's a good question. You know where the meeting notices are put in, where Gail on the top of your
We
head?
have them displayed in our office.
Yeah, displayed in
And
your
then
office.
outside our office in the hallway.
Okay,
And then
so we could just maybe put in there, the planning department office, or is there any, you have a suggestion?
Makes sense. No, I think the county planning office would do proper. Yeah.
So,
Then one reading this knows where that is.
right.
That's all.
All right. Any other questions or changes? Not everybody okay with the changes that were proposed by Mr. Nixon there? All right, I will take a motion to approve the revised bylaws as amended.
So moved.
All right, is there support?
Support.
All right, motion made by Mr. Noonan, supported by Mr. Brown to approve the 2024 annual bylaws as amended. Any further discussion on that? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up, we got our meeting schedule, the annual session dates. Everybody had a chance to go through that. Looks like they're all the fourth Tuesday of the month, with the exception in December where it's the third Tuesday. As duly noted there, and for our new member here, Francis here, the annual planning session is usually a training session that we'll have here at the government center that just we'll pick a topic and then we'll invite a speaker here. And it's kind of a training for area townships, governmental entities, to just kind of get some training, whether it be right to farm, any new legislation that's coming out of Lansing and how to deal with zoning, and different stuff like that. So that's what the annual planning session there is. And usually every member here is expected to be here. Get information, I guess. So is there any questions on the meeting dates there? If not, I will take a motion to approve those meeting dates.
So moved.
Right, motion made by Mr. Meter, and is there support? Supported by Mr. Brown. To approve the 2024 meeting schedule and annual session meeting dates. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up, we have public comment. We have no public staff comments. Anything on your end?
I will say, the first email that I sent out, I said you would have an agenda item from Leelanau Township. That's been pushed back until February. And that's going to be a review of their entire zoning ordinance. They made multiple amendments and they did not send me a marked up copy, and they will not be sending me a marked up copy of the changes they made, so a large review. I don't know if you want me to divide it up in chapters for each person, maybe, instead of having to look at the whole thing, or what?
How many pages did you say it was? 140 or something?
I don't think it's that big.
Not quite that big. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's small. But yeah, that's the main thing. There's just, you don't really have to read through it line by line just to get an idea, because you can't, I guess we can't compare it to what they had in the past, so.
How come we can't compare it, or why, is that their own choice, or?
I asked, he said, it's too confusing, too messy, and he kind of explained, they wanted more content neutral language. And they moved some charts around and things like that, and
So they want us to look at their whole zoning ordinance and pass them along
any comments, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know, as Gail mentioned, did we want to break it up into articles as is in there? Or do every one of us just want to read through the whole thing, or what's the take on everybody, I guess?
It'd be better to break it down, but
You can't request a red line,
I mean, I did.
enable even.
We've reviewed master plans
Right.
in their
Yeah.
completeness as well.
it's true.
I guess if Glen Arbor understands that they're putting a burden on this commission, then the expectation of really in-depth analysis of every single paragraph is not really a likely possibility.
Right, well, and I guess it was gonna be on the agenda for this month, but I asked Gail to reach out and just see, hey, is there any way we can push back to next month, give everybody a month to look at it, so.
Okay, good.
So we can leave it, everybody can just read through it. I'll have Gail, you can send it out to everybody maybe the next couple days.
Okay.
That way we have a month to look at it instead of just a week or something, so. Everybody,
Okay.
alright. Any other staff comments?
No,
Alright. Next up, we have our minutes. Looks like the last meeting we had was back in October, so hopefully everybody remembers what's there, but. Have any corrections or deletions in the minutes there?
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'd support that.
All right, motion been made by Mr. Noonan, supported by Mr. Nixon to approve the October 24th, 2023 meeting minutes as presented. Any further discussion?
Being as I was not present, should I?
Generally, we just, yeah, there's no excuse on this. It's just generally you approve or not,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
it's not- No reason for you to excuse yourself. so. Any other- Yeah. Any other questions? All right, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Excellent. Next up, we are under new business. Item 1. You see there's multiple farmland preservation reviews on there. The first one we have there is Leelanau Township. Hopefully everybody had a chance to just go through, look at it. I will let staff do their report and then I'll go through each member and see if they have any questions or comments on it as well.
You want to go through each?
Just do item 1, Leelanau Township right
Okay.
now.
This request is from Leelanau Township. We received it on December 13th. The last date of review is January 12th. We have 30 days in which to review and comment on the application and provide comments to the township. After the 30-day period, the township can proceed with or without comments from reviewing agencies. This requested action is to review and comment on applications to enter approximately 80 acres into the farmland and open space preservation program. The applicant is the Glenn and Judith Lacrosse Trust. Glenn and Judith Lacrosse are the owners. The Leelanau Township Master Plan identifies this area as farm forest on the future land use map. And these parcels are located on the west side of South French Road. The next section is kind of a little explanation of the program. The Farmland Open Space Preservation Program preserves farmland from being developed for non-agricultural uses. The owner enters into a development rights agreement with the state. The state in turn allows the owner a property tax credit for those farmlands. Moving on to staff comments. This request is to place approximately 80 acres into the farmland and open preservation program with the state for a period of 10 years. The maximum term allowed is 90 years. The applicant states the property does not have any tax liens on it and the applicant owns the mineral rights. The property is within the agricultural conservation zoning district as noted in the Leelanau Township zoning ordinance. And finally, for prior applications, the County Planning Commission has made a recommendation for applications to be accepted into the program or sent along comments and suggestions.
All right. So Ben, do you have anything, any questions or?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I must have been not in the email because I never got the agenda. I did get all of the Centerville, Leland. Anyways, I was able to review the documents for the application for the farm preservation field that they're going for. I didn't see anything that worried me. I'm not very familiar with this program. It's my first experience with this, but everything looked in order to me. My only other question was at the bottom of those applications, there's a checklist, and I noticed that most of those applications were not like that. They hadn't fulfilled that. It's as well. Yeah, so verified following regarding reviewing agencies and sending a copy to reviewing agencies is required. The county or regional plan commission, which I suppose that's us, but conservation district, the township, and then also I think this is probably premature at this point, but then there's also before forwarding to the state agency, the application needs to have a copy of the deed, most recent tax bill, etc. And then I also was just curious about how they verify the income. That's just more of a curiosity for me, that they just say that they make this much money off of the land. And what fruit are they doing? I'm guessing there's some vineyards there. One of cherries. Is it all cherries? Sure. Okay. One of those parcels is right across from where I live. So, but other than that, that's more of as long as they know they need to be sending copies to these other relevant agencies. So,
All right, Mr. Creek, you have any questions or
No,
comments?
it just kind of all seems to be appropriate under what I understand the law, so.
I don't have any comments. I mean, it all seems to fit. I mean, if it wasn't zone ag, obviously, then that would be different. Seems to fit, in my opinion.
Mr. Nixon?
No substantive comments, just looking at these, I don't remember seeing a lot of these. And I was surprised that all three of them asked for 10 years. And they could ask for 90 years, which just struck me as kind of interesting. Wonder what their motivation is, but that's not for us to question. I would compliment staff in putting all this material together. However, mine did come through my computer and I thought my computer was gonna blow up.
I just didn't get an email.
Thank you for putting all that together, though, staff, that's most appreciative and it's voluminous. But that's my comment.
Mr. Brown?
I have no comment.
No?
Nothing to add.
Mr. Mulder?
I guess we may not have seen a lot of these in most recent years because a lot of the farms were signed up in the 70s and 80s. And if you at that time signed up for the entire 90 years, which created a hardship for many down the road. So the state actually opened up a little window to renegotiate a lower number of years that a farmer could be in the program. So I think this is fantastic. It's a great program. I highly recommend. And I'm glad to see them doing that.
All right. Yeah, same here. I thought there wasn't much. They were obviously all in ag, streets and forests. That's what the future land use for the future map for the Leelanau general plan identified. So everything looked like it was in the ag area. So, everything did well. Staff, you might just want to make sure you got Ben's email or something. Because apparently he didn't.
I got the first batch of kind of what was coming and I just never got the rest. And of course, especially when we get closer to the meeting, I'm checking, daily checking. Maybe I should have reached out, but it was one of those things like, I'm like, they're probably so busy, maybe they just are gonna.
It's just a link as part.
Well, and that the second email they had was a link to the agenda. So I don't. So maybe I don't know. Because it was a little, you sent a little different format, but it's because it was such a huge agenda that they couldn't do it.
Yeah, Brian, my link would not open either, Brian.
Yeah, and I don't know, because this is just all, the attachments are all Cleveland, Centerville, Leland PDFs. That's all I have. And there is, so there's one that says, sorry, it's email number 2. That's the last email I got. That was January 12th.
You could have been missed because the IT director was.
Well, things happen.
Had to place everybody's email separately,
Okay.
so she could have easily.
All right.
But I certainly like to be prepared for the meeting, so it's all
I
good.
understand.
We'll get it squared away.
And the only other thing, if I may,
Yep.
add is, so for this program, I know you kind of mentioned the accountability, it's all has to be done on income taxes. So it's a revenue and an expense in your income taxes. So,
Oh, right, so it's reported
Yeah,
income.
it's all
Okay,
reported.
that would make
Yeah.
sense, yeah, so that's why they're sending previous tax. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Nobody has any other questions or comments? I'll take a motion to forward this back to Leelanau Township.
So moved. I make a motion that we forward all staff comments and board member comments back to Leelanau Township.
I think we have to make a recommendation to accept this into the farmland
Generally, yeah.
preservation program, right?
As it's recommended that they,
And recommend approval of this parcel going into the farm, into PA 116.
Support that.
All right, motion made by Mr. Noonan, supported by Commissioner Palmer. Any further discussion? All right, not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next up, we have item number 2, Cleveland Township. Going staff comments on this. Ready again?
This request from Cleveland Township came to our office on December 20th. The last day of review is January 19th. Again, the same owners, Glenn and Judith Trust. The Cleveland Township Master Plan identifies this area as agricultural preservation on the future land use map. And these parcels are located south of East April Road and west of South Town Line Road. Moving on to staff comments. This request is to place approximately 76 acres into the farmland and open space preservation program with the state for a period of 10 years. Again, the maximum term allowed is 90 years. The property is within the agricultural zoning district as noted in the Cleveland Township zoning ordinance. The applicant states the property does not have any tax liens on it, and the applicant owns the mineral rights.
Just to reiterate my previous comments with regards to, making sure that they're sending these things all the right places, otherwise it's the same deal as the last ones. I think it looks good. No reason to deny them.
All right, Mr. Creek.
No opposition.
Mason,
No comment.
Mr. Brown,
No comment.
no,
Nothing there.
Mr. Butler. All right. Never mind, looks like the same thing, so I'll take a motion to that respect. This one's for Cleveland Township.
I move that we recommend placing the 76 acres into the farmland and open space preservation program as requested in this application.
We're all set. Mr. Thomas back to Cleveland Township, right?
And correct.
Support.
All right, a motion made by Mr. Nixon, supported by Mr. Noonan. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, next up, we got Centerville Township, and there's the same thing, we have staff, anything else there?
This request from Centerville Township came on January 12th. The last day to review is February 11th. Again, same owners. The Centerville Township Master Plan identifies these areas as agricultural and agricultural preservation area on the future land use map. This request is to place approximately 488 acres into farmland and open space preservation program with the state for a period of 10 years. And again, the applicant states the property does not have any tax liens on it, and they own the mineral rights. The properties are within the agricultural zoning district as noted in the Centerville Township zoning ordinance. And this one, I will say, I don't know if you noticed, there was a missing application. At the end of the packet, there was a parcel that came in the packet with no application. And I reached out to the township. She said this is the way it was turned into her. I asked if she had reached out to the owners and let them know they were missing an application. She said, no, this is how it was turned into her, and this is how she was going to turn it into us. I told her if she happened to get the application and forward it to us. Yeah.
It still includes the 488 acres.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Mr. Fenlon,
No comment.
Mr. Creek,
Okay.
Noonan,
No comment.
Nixon,
No,
Mr. Brown,
None.
Mr. McDonald,
nothing.
Butler. All right, so I guess the only thing that's noted in there is the missing application, I guess, so.
That would be, I mean, that would get caught at some point.
You would think so, yeah. I'll find out one way or the other.
Yeah.
All right, if not, I will take a motion, the same effect, this one's for Centerville Township.
I make a motion that we forward this back to Centerville Township with all staff comments and board member comments with the recommendation of approval of this going into PA 116.
Support that.
All right, motion made by Mr. Noonan, supported by Mr. Nixon. Any further discussion? All right, not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Carried. All right, next item on the agenda, we have Leelanau County Planning Commission ordinance. This was originally going to be on here as just kind of an item to review. However, after talking to Gail, I'm kind of getting the background of this. I wanted it as an action item on here simply. I guess most of us were probably on the assumption that the planning director would be hired by the administrator, but I guess as we're finding out that the planning director is hired by the board of commissioners instead. After digging into some background, as you can see, the resolution that was passed back in 2011, pretty much stating that, and then pretty much enforcing this ordinance, I guess, that was adopted then. So, and hopefully everybody got a chance to go through it, but it's just pretty much giving an outline of how this commission is set up with the planning director and those hired through the township board rather than administrator. So, after talking with Gail and stuff, and I guess understanding how the process works and everything, I guess what I would like from this body, and I know Gail hasn't originally been hired on as the permanent planning director, but I guess I would really like this body to make a recommendation to the township board to hire Gail on permanently as the planning director, I guess. So that'd be my recommendation. I just know the work that Gail has done. And everybody under the staff, Judy Gallo, she lives the road. She's been in that office for a couple of years. She knows how the process works. Has obviously gained a lot of knowledge in that respect. So I just have a lot of respect for somebody that's worked in that. Obviously, she wants the job, and I think she should be awarded with that. So I guess that's my personal, endorsement of that. I would just like the body, I guess, to, either a motion to that effect, recommending the board. I can draft up a letter type of thing, send it out to everybody, and then I like to present it to the board, just recommend board of commissioners to hire Gail as the permanent planning director of Leelanau County here. So anybody have any questions or?
I would support that motion. Obviously, speak in favor of that motion. I think much of what you said is true. I think we've had the benefit of Gail's work in front of us for several years now. And I think in addition to that, her opportunity to work with probably the finest planner, one of the finest planners in the country, has been an in-service daily that she's experienced that probably nobody else in these parts would ever benefit from. And if there was some question about that, I think when you look at the quality of work that Gail has done, the specifics that she provides, the initiative she shows, I see her at every and any event, whether it be waste management or junk and trash, or all of our workshops. Her presence is there. I'm yet to find somebody that is as copious in note-taking as Gail has been. I don't think there's been anything that we've ever read on this commission that's ever been so complete. And so I add that support to your motion for the reasons that I've just cited, that I think she would be a fine candidate and one that would benefit this county and ourselves in that role as the planner.
All right, so I guess I made that motion.
Yeah, you did.
Or did, so. Any questions or Mr. Creek?
Just like to know if she wants the job.
That's my first question.
It sounded like she did.
I mean, the train's going through, you know. I don't know if she's.
Very
been on or
pertinent
not.
question.
Yeah.
I knew she had put in an application, I guess, so I knew she wanted the job, and talking to her over the phone, she was very much wanted it, so.
Okay, great. Nice.
Okay, Mr. Wellner.
I wish that we had time to write up a resolution and pass this by resolution. But do you want to take a few minutes and write a motion? Because you're also talking about just writing a letter. Is a letter just simply going to say by, the Board of Planning Commission, just explain what the motion is tonight?
So Right, so I can speak to that a little bit. Originally, like, I was just planning on writing a letter. Pretty much, obviously, whatever's in the minutes here from the meeting, use that as something in the letter, the stuff, why we would recommend Gail to be hired on, just her experience, in that sense. And then just, yeah, the reason for that, and then just show that the whole commission here is in support of that and recommend the board to hire her on as the permanent planning director. So that was originally my plan. It's just what incorporate the comments that were in this meeting.
Okay.
Putting that into the letter and then giving that to the board of commissioners and recommending that they hire her.
Then what I would recommend is for you to do a roll call vote and include that in your.
Yeah, I can
In
do
your
that.
letter, okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, I just have want to have maybe a small discussion. I'm new-ish, right? So I think next month will be a year with the planning commission. I think Gail's done a fantastic job. Big shoes to fill, it seems like, and a difficult job. So given all that, I think that you're interested and that you're already well-established and have relationships with the planning commissioners. And I mean, that's all makes things really pretty easy transition, I would think, into that role, which is a good thing, I certainly would argue. And I'm just curious if, and I don't know, unfortunately, I wasn't able to view some of this documentation, but you guys can maybe help me out. Is there a certain hiring process that is traditionally occurred, or is this something that, like, I mean, because I have no problem saying, yes, you want it, let's get it done. But is there like a certain process that the county generally does for hiring? Do they have to take applications for a certain amount of time?
Yes, so I know they have taken applications, and I believe there was a couple applications, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a couple applications, none of them in county or in-house, I believe. Gail was the only one in-house from my understanding. Am I correct on that? Or-
There was one other applicant who was out of town, I believe.
We interviewed two, correct, one from out of town, we interviewed Gail.
Okay, so just one other application, okay. And Gail was the only one.
No
in-house.
other applications, I think there were other applications, but the other applications, I asked the administrator about them, and she didn't feel like they had the years of knowledge, and no experience. They may have had a degree in planning, but haven't actually worked in planning. So she chose one to interview, and we interviewed Gail. And then, and I don't really know
They
what
was
happened.
given it on an interim basis.
Yeah, and then they gave it to Gail on an interim basis, and then Trudy called and said, well, you can't do it that way anyway. We can't follow that process at all. Now it has to be chosen by the board of commissioners. So Trudy replaced the previous planning director, Tim Dolehanny. If I remember Tim Dolehanny, and Trudy worked under him, and then he left to go council of government, maybe another county maybe, and then Trudy replaced him. So that was 20 some years ago.
Melinda, do you know when the commission plans to make that decision?
Well, I hope, I don't, but I hope real soon. I hope, I think February.
So then my other maybe point of discussion would be, who's gonna do your job now? Or are you just gonna do everything?
I've been doing both of them, right?
I know, but I'm saying that's not necessarily, I don't know.
And right now, there is one vacancy in the office, so.
So there's intention.
Yes,
I'm just thinking of you and your sanity and us, and this board's health long after I'm gone, so.
Yeah, there's a vacancy, hopefully that will be filled.
Okay.
Here very shortly. So, I know they've got that workload pretty high.
Which
right now.
explains my grief that they piled Parks and Rec onto Gail as well recently with less staff and
And hopefully that burden will be relieved a little bit once they hire a new individual in the office, so.
I hope so.
I know Gail's more than qualified to take this on. I guess another reason that her relationship with all the townships in the county, she knows them all, has been working with, under Gail and stuff, or under Trudy. So I just think her knowledge in that as well, as well, so.
Gonna hire too many people, she does the job.
One, you're interim planning director, there's only one vacancy in the office right now, right?
Correct.
So there's one, she's just interim planning director right now. Filling in.
Wasn't, she was on staff before.
Correct, yeah.
Working for the plan.
Yeah, what was your official title before that?
Senior plan.
Senior planner.
Yeah.
So that's
You got a
position
clerical
that's-
thing, and you got a senior planning.
No, the senior planning is the one that would be the open position, right? Or one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, so. Any other questions or discussion on that? All right, if not, I will go ahead with we'll go ahead and call the roll. All those in favor of that motion?
Roll call.
You're gonna do a roll call?
Yes, roll call.
Yoder,
Yes.
Noonan,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fenlon,
Yes.
Lautner,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Nixon,
Yes.
and Creepy.
Yes.
Excellent. Motion passed. All right, so I will be writing that up once I get the minutes from you. And then I'll write up that letter and obviously send it out to everybody on here and I'll present it to the board in February. So. All right, next up, we are under reports for Housing Action Committee. Commissioner Lawson, do you have anything on that?
Housing Action Committee, I don't have anything, really nothing new to add. We got some updates, progress on a few of the, you would see the houses being built, Fresh Winds, is that the one on Buckeye Road? You'll see that one under construction. Merrick Road is taking applicants, is that correct?
Yeah, we toured
I
it.
think they are.
Yeah. And, Maple City Crossings is full.
Did they build that last?
Maybe they have one more open.
The one in Maple City, we've
Yeah.
got 2 units under construction right now, 4
Two-
units.
two
under-
more. Yeah, okay, the 4 are full and 2 under construction,
Yes.
right? I thought the 4 were full, yeah. Yeah, so. Wow,
I think unless they change the names, New Waves.
oh, New Waves instead of Fresh Winds or whatever, that's the Buckeye Road, right?
Yes.
New Waves, okay, thank you for that, I couldn't remember.
Any other questions? Commissioner Lawson? All right, if not, we'll move on to Parks and Rec. Mr. Newton, you have a report on that?
Really not a whole lot to report right now. We had a meeting last month, but not a lot going on. We're working through Miles Kimmerly's plan or Miles Kimmerly Park plan, and then we're gonna get ready to start working on the park plan, the whole parks plan. I guess. Other than that, not much more.
Any questions from Mr. Newton? All right. Now we'll go on to reports from members and attendants at township or village meetings. Commissioner Lawler.
Nope, I have nothing.
All right, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Brown.
Just for the road commission, we're putting together our plan for this year, hopefully getting projects out to bid within the next week or so. We've got about 30-some miles of chip seal we're gonna be doing, about 5 miles of loop pavement we're gonna be putting down. About 6 different culvert replacements we're gonna be working on. Yeah, just a number of projects that come up, scattered throughout the townships.
Well, I see coming next week, you might be able to get out and do something.
Fire up the asphalt plans.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Nixon.
Sidewalk.
Nothing.
All right, Mr. Newton.
Nothing.
All right, Mr. Creek. Mr. Penland.
Nothing to add.
All right. Up my mind as well, I guess everybody's in winter mode, so. All right, next up, we have communications, 2020 travel per diem sheet. Staff, do you have anything to add to that, or
No, they're just here.
at the front there? So,
There's a new mileage rate.
new mileage rate, so. Guess we're all gonna pay a little bit more on here now, so. All right, next up, we got public comment, nothing there, staff comments.
We do have all of the election dates established for this year. We just haven't got anything posted yet. We're working on it. We have a little bit of an issue with our sign up, our Squarespace that we use for signing up, making the appointments. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll be able to get into that, get it set up.
Will there be a mattress recycling?
There's two tire and two mattresses.
2 tire and 2 mattress, that's great. Okay.
No shredding this year. But no shredding this year. And electronics are at a different collection.
Electronics are going to rotate through all the different
Yeah, Barb is handling those.
locations.
Any questions for staff? All right. Not, we're on to, yes,
What do we do with this?
I'll help you out after the meeting.
No, I mean, I can fill it out.
Oh, just at the top, you gotta fill in your name and address,
Yeah,
and then just, down below, put in the meeting date, what the meeting's for, your calculate your mileage and the meeting. Once you fill that all out, then just turn it into staff, and then they'll,
each after each meeting or
Usually
6 months or
quarterly, right?
whatever I want.
you have to do quarterly, but generally, everyone here, I think, does after every meeting that way, because sometimes we don't have a meeting every month, so. it really gives us,
And it's round trip, remember, it's round trip.
So it gets me up to 4 miles.
Yeah.
I've been doing quarterly, should I, is that staff, would that be preferred? I guess
Quarterly? No,
I mean,
yeah, no, quarterly is fine.
okay,
Yeah, you just wanna make sure you turn it in every quarter, else.
which
Yeah,
I
so-
was not here October and then the last quarter,
Okay.
so there was nothing for me to turn in
Right.
for the final quarter.
Yeah, makes sense.
Might have just been luck, I suppose.
There you go.
But
Yeah,
yeah, there's no problem with me doing it quarterly.
no,
I just
No.
figure it's easier.
go for it. So fine.
$40, whopping $40.
Another question.
Yep.
Is it easier for us to do this electronic?
Do you have an avenue to do it electronically? Just,
It's just a spreadsheet.
not for us, no,
No,
no, just fill it out here.
Okay. Just check.
Yep. No problem. Any other questions? All right, if not, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Anybody have any closing comments, Mr. Nixon?
I do. And I don't know how my fellow commissioners might feel, but every time we go to reports and we have a report on attendance at township and village meetings, I'm wondering if we could dispense with that. And that under our comments at the end, that people are reminded if they attended a session, they might share that. I see some redundancy in that. I also felt like, again, tonight, there really weren't too many other than Greg mentioned what he'd been doing with the road commission. But that we might be better served if we didn't have that on the agenda. I know former chairpersons felt very strongly that we should be engaged in our communities. I'd like to think we are. I hope we all are. If we need a reminder, fine. And if I'm in the least position here, then I'm happy still keeping that on there. But I'm just suggesting that maybe we consider removing that.
Yeah. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Everybody else okay with that?
Fine with that.
So we'll just incorporate attendance and those, along with commissioner comments that just
Yeah.
incorporate that and eliminate one item. Here we go.
Saving county money. I like your addition.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments? All right, not, I just want to thank staff for all their hard work, over this last month. I know it's been really hectic. You had a huge packet just to put together, and I think you did it well. So I just want to thank you for all your hard work on that. Forward to working with you guys for the next year again, so. With that, meeting adjourned.